Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs.
Okay. Hi, this is Heidi Anderson with ECI Secure Pay and my co-host Jeff Heggie of Jeff Heggie Coaching. And we're really excited today to introduce you to Katka Novakova. I hope I'm saying. She is an amazing naturopathic doctor here in the Phoenix area, but that's not where she's originally from, and she can tell you all about that. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Katka to tell us about your history, your background, and how you ended up here.
Hello, Jeff and Heidi. It's so nice to be here. Oh, that's a long story. I'll try to shorten it. So I have both. I have a traditional medical degree from the Czech Republic, from Prague, from Charles University. And I started at age 18 already. I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So I went to Prague, study. We have 6 years of medical school. And already during that time, through the studies, I knew there was something more I want to be doing. There's some pieces were missing. I can go into that a little bit more, what were my key moments there. But I knew, I was like, oh, there must be something more. And I studied acupuncture. I studied herbal medicine, a little bit of everything I could here. But it wasn't until I had the opportunity to visit the United States where I realized there's actually whole schooling as a naturopathic doctor. And it felt really right. It felt like, okay, that is what I'm looking for. So I ended up in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, which was another 4 years of medical school. So I had 6 years and 10 years. So actually 6 years and 4 years, so a total of 10 years of medical school. But it was worth it. And I decided to stay in Phoenix, and I have been practicing there ever since, which is, over 20 years from now. I have been practicing as a naturopathic doctor, and it has been great joy.
That is excellent. I was actually curious where you were from, because when I originally looked you up, I thought it'd be easy to find you on Instagram and didn't realize it's a common name.
It is a very common name in the Czech Republic. It's actually the top most common name in the Czech Republic, yes.
That's interesting. Yeah, you would think it's so unique here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I remember I have a story when I was in school, and I was just like in the first year, the first semester, and I met two ladies, and one of them, they invited me into their home and for a little dinner, and helped me kind of navigate the school. And one of them was from New York, and they had conversation, and she's saying, "What's your number?" "Oh, I'll find you in the phone book." And the lady said, "You're gonna be looking for Katka Novakova in the phone book." It was just so funny, because at that point it was so hard for people to pronounce the name, and it was, I think, very unique name. So yeah, it's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So what is it that, between the two studies, what is it that really got you more interested in this side?
Yeah, it's almost like two opposing poles of looking at the human body. The traditional medicine is so separate. Like, we have medicine for the brain, for the heart, for the gastrointestinal tract, for skin. So you have to go see separate doctors. And in the naturopathic medicine, we really look at the body as a whole. So it's a whole different understanding of, okay, so if I have high blood pressure, I don't necessarily go look at the heart only and give somebody medication. We try to go underneath. What is the underlying cause? So we look deeper. For example, women, when their gallbladder is removed 20 years prior, they tend to develop high blood pressure because the liver is really struggling. So if we can help in that regard, we don't actually have to give somebody blood pressure medication, or we can help them get off of blood pressure medication. So it's the looking at the big picture and the body as a whole, and it's also going underneath to what is the core of why did the body react the way it reacted to develop these symptoms, which are actually like a language of the body telling us what is, I don't want to say wrong, but what is stagnant and what is not flowing. So it's a different approach to healing.
One of the wonderful things about Dr. Katka, because I did go see her actually as a patient, and she spent so much time with me. I mean, and it wasn't just about whatever pain was going on or how I was feeling physically. She really got into emotions and got into what's going on in your mind, because I'm guessing sometimes just being stressed out can cause high blood pressure, right?
Yeah.
So she looks at a completely really holistic viewpoint versus just like she was saying, a heart doctor or somebody who's like a specialist in a certain part of the body.
Mm. Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of inviting the body into the picture, because I have been thinking so much in traditional medicine. We have created medicine about the body without the body, really, without inviting the body in to help us understand what's going on. And this is more looking at, okay, I'll take the body in, I take the time, like the mental emotional is a big aspect as well. So it's a little bit of a different approach, and it allows people to step back and realize they have so much more say so in their healing. Like, I don't have to take medicine for high blood pressure. I can actually do so many things to take care of myself, and it is so empowering and has been really rewarding for many, many patients.
Absolutely. And, it just makes me think about it. Yesterday I was actually involved in an interview and we were talking about mental health. And that's one of the things with mental health is a doctor might prescribe a certain medication and it might work for a bit, but then if it stops working, it's oftentimes just piling on more medication where they haven't identified the underlying cause of some of the issues. And it just seems like throwing more medicine at the problem until it's overdone.
Adding more
And
poison to something that's already a little bit probably poisoned.
right.
Yeah, with the mental health, it has been so difficult because there's these diagnoses, you have depression, you have bipolar, you have schizophrenia or whatnot. But the struggle is the body, there's so many toxins per se, or pathogens, viruses, bacteria that really affect the nervous system so much that it can cause severe anxiety, and it can manifest as mental emotional issues. And then we put medication, like you said, you have medication on top of it, which not only covers the problem, actually makes it worse. So if we can allow for, like I was saying before, a little bit of a bigger picture and what else could be going on, and help like you said, Heidi, I spent so much time with you because we're asking, actually, like, you have all the answers, and my job is just translating what is going on, taking the symptoms and literally translating it into, oh, okay, here's what is going on and here's what's needed. And it may take a little bit longer to recover fully, and it's a longer process, but one, it's empowering process, and two, it's sustainable, right? Like you're saying, Jeff, if we put the medication on top of it, then only we need to be putting more and more medicine, and there is an endpoint to that. So it's a beautiful way of starting to understand the organism and the human, functioning of every organ in a different ways. So
Now it's interesting with your experience having studied both sides. I know a lot of naturopaths are very anti-medicine. Do you combine both, or what? How do you deal with your
how do I
patients usually?
approach that? Yeah, so so honestly, there is times when medication is, if somebody has extremely high blood pressure, we don't want to be, doing detoxification of the liver and waiting 3-4 weeks. There is definitely time for medicine. And if every time I look at the description of medication, most of them, if not all of them, are short-term medications, whether it's the mental medications, whether it's the blood pressure medicine, the heart medicine. And the trouble that has happened in traditional medicine is that they have become long-term, and for most patients, lifelong medications. And that has been a little bit of the misunderstanding, I believe, where the medications can help at the beginning, and they can really make something that's very acute to give us a pause and to give us enough time to start healing the underlying cause. For me, I usually don't see patients in that acute state where I have to give them medication unless there's some major infection and we need a little bit of time. Let's say we do ozone or IV therapies, but if the patient is struggling, or if it has to do with their eyesight or something very, very, like, we have to act right away, the medicine is, it is actually indicated. And we work underneath to make sure we don't have to stay on the medicine long term. Or I have patients come in on medications already, and what we tend to do is just re-prescribe lower dose and slowly get them off. So that's where it comes handy, where actually I can prescribe medicine, where we change the dosages and actually help patients get off of the medication, which is it's a really nice thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love is kind of like I take a lot of supplements. My mother's always taken a lot of supplements, and I know, like, I started taking her to her doctor in her later years, and regular medical doctors they just poo-poo vitamins. They're like, oh well, if you think they work, I guess, like they think they're placebos or something. But my health is really good, and my mother's is actually pretty good too. But my father was on statins, and he ended up getting dementia, and now they're starting to link statins to dementia, right? And it's kind of like and he did it long term, and whereas a different, more natural approach probably could have handled, I think those are for cholesterol, right?
Yes. If there is one medicine, really, if I could be like spokesperson for one medicine that we definitely can not take and that is not necessary, it is the cholesterol medication. Mm-hmm. And the trouble with that is that we don't realize now it's prescribed even as a prevention. When people have any heart condition, they get cholesterol medication. And I see them and their levels of cholesterol are so low, they actually are deficient. And the trouble with that, like you were saying, cholesterol is a building block for every single cell. Like the outside of the cell has cholesterol in the membrane as a building block. And it is so important for the function of every single cell in the body, right? Not only for that, but it's also a precursor to most of the hormones, female and male hormones. So we actually really need cholesterol. And the trouble that happens is when we put somebody on cholesterol medicine, the body is made, like the body has to stop the production, right? It doesn't have a choice. So not only do we stop the production of cholesterol, we also really hinder the production of coenzyme Q10, which is actually extremely heart supportive medicine and you'd say, nutrient for the heart. But the second biggest trouble, as you were kind of alluding to, is every organ in the body can make its own cholesterol except the brain. So the brain doesn't have a storage, it cannot make the cholesterol. And it's the one organ that, if you think the nerves and the neurons, they really need the outside of the cells to move the electric impulse, right? So if we stop the production of the cholesterol, which is the building block, there's some struggle in the brain, and the dementia has been really linked, oh my goodness, to, these days they don't want to really, it's something that is not really spoken about as much, but it has been a huge struggle. And the cholesterol medicine is so overprescribed, and it is really one of the number one medicines, I would say. If you're on it, there's so many things to do to get off of it. So it would be the first one to always help somebody to get off of, for sure.
Well, and that is interesting. So many of the things that we see, whether it's heart disease or dementia or any of these things that we seem to see at an increasing rate, what are the factors that can cause that? And, from anyone without a medical degree, I would have never thought, cholesterol medication could have an impact on that. And this might be a hard loaded question for you, because from a doctor's standpoint, not having a patient in front of you, but what are some of the natural things people can do just to be taking better care of their health that way, so that they aren't on as much medication? Because you often hear people, you look at the people that have the packs of, I got to take these 40 pills today. And finally, when they're in the hospital at some time, they start getting taken off of them and they're actually doing better. So what are some of the things that people can do in their everyday life that is going to help them to avoid being in that situation?
Yeah, there are so many. And like you said, it's very individual, but just the basics. So one thing that happens today, we have so much food available to us and we are not really hungry. But what happens to the body actually, because a lot of the food oftentimes is nutrient deficient, we actually become malnourished. So if we don't have enough the basic vitamins and minerals that are in the fruits and vegetables, the body tends to become kind of low in a lot of the basic and key supplements. So one thing I recommend is always have, so the simplest thing would be some form of organic fruit a day, and vegetable, of course. If that's not possible, I do recommend the next best thing is an organic green powder that you can just mix first thing in the morning. And I call it kind of the multivitamin, you know, on steroids, because it actually comes from food. So it absorbs beautifully. It's a powder, or you make a drink out of it. So it's really, it's a beautiful, it's not even a supplement, it's really a food that we should be eating so many fruits and vegetables a day that we're not able to really. So it's something as a nice substitute, very simple, very cheap to get, and easy to make first thing in the morning. So that's number one. Number two, we forget about two basic things. One of them is breath. And the reason I talk about breath, and we think, oh my goodness, you know, I'm breathing all day long. Why would I need to concentrate on breath? So many of us, we breathe shallow, and we breathe into our upper chest, where our shoulders go up and down when we breathe, instead of breathing into our belly. And it really makes a difference when we spend a little bit of time, whether it's at the red light or when we're waiting in a grocery store, just really focusing on a deep breath. Because the thing to remember is oxygen is the number one nutrient. And in the big cities and in, you know, a little bit of a polluted areas, it is harder to actually get it into our cells. So if we think about, okay, the food, nutrients, great, and then oxygen, can I actually be conscientious about breathing? It's so simple, but yet it's so powerful. And the third thing, most patients that I see when they're on medication, they're either on blood pressure medication, or like we said, cholesterol medication, or some kind of hard medicine or something like that. So a very simple nutrient that makes big difference for blood pressure is magnesium. And magnesium is so beautiful because it's responsible for so many reactions in the body. So it gives us a lot of support, and it helps to lower blood pressure. It also calms down the nervous system. So if there is one beautiful supplement to take morning and night, it would be magnesium to help. And then as far as the cholesterol, and something that would support us in other ways as well, is organic ground flaxseed. It's this beautiful thing. We can get it at the, you know, any grocery store and or online, and just a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons at that time with a little bit of organic apple juice. What it does, it will help to bind the cholesterol that we don't want to reabsorb back, and it will actually help to decrease it. It also helps to calm down the inflammation in our digestive tract, and it gives us nice supportive fiber. So, you know, just few easy basic things, but they do make a big difference when we put them all together. And it's just, without having the diagnosis, without having somebody in front of me, I would say those are really nice, supportive, and very easy to obtain things to do every day.
I know recently you were doing some training on ozone therapy, and I saw some information that you put out on that. So tell me a little bit more about that, because does that have to do with not getting enough oxygen in our bodies? Is that a way of getting more oxygen into our bodies?
Yes. So the ozone is actually, call it supercharged oxygen. So oxygen is O2, so 2 molecules of oxygen tightly bound together. Ozone is an extra electron of oxygen that sits on the O2, creates O3, which means that one electron is very freely and easily available to our organism. We do this through the blood. We don't want to inhale ozone. That's the one way we don't want to use it, but we do it through the blood. So we basically saturate the blood with ozone, which, yes, it supplies extra oxygen to the tissue, or, you know, the organs of the heart and the brain. But also the ozone is powerful in that way that is able to kill pathogens. So it's able to kill viruses and bacteria, and also it supports the immune system to make it stronger to be able to kill those pathogens. So we use it for a multitude of things. Those are 2 of them, but it's a beautiful treatment. It's even one that helps us with energy, and in the winter month it actually makes us stronger as far as the immune system goes. So it could be even used as prevention. Yes.
How often do you have to have it done? I mean, do you come in and get it done and then you're good for a month, or how often
Yeah, as a prevention for once a month is great. That really is all we need, especially in the winter. We usually do it, the 3 months through the winter. If somebody is struggling with something more like chronic infection or something more of a more intense or more severe, we do it more frequently, maybe once a week for 3-5 times. So it depends what we are trying to heal with the ozone.
So how do you do it?
So we actually withdraw some blood. Everything is sterile. It's an evacuated container that we use. The blood is withdrawn into the container, and then we have an ozone generator right there on the spot. And we actually just bring the ozone into the blood, mix it, and it goes back in.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a video on the website, but yeah, it's just takes about 20-30 minutes. All the blood is returned, and you can see it's beautiful. The blood actually, as it's darker coming out when we ozonate and oxygenate it, it's this beautiful bright red blood that's coming into the organism, supplying the oxygen right away.
Very neat. I have another, taking a step back to what we were talking about, some of the preventative things. I think one of the things we see in society on an increase, and I'm asking this for a selfish reason as well, we see more and more, I don't know if it's dependence or habit or what, on what do you call them, like caffeine uppers,
Coffee.
Oh, you have coffee right there? Okay, great. Oh boy, perfect.
So
Yeah.
what's a good way naturally
Mm-hmm.
to be replacing that? And
Mm-hmm.
of course sleep would help, but what are some of the natural ways to go about that rather than sipping on coffee or Red Bull all day?
Yeah. I always tell my patients to choose, if I have to have caffeine, there's levels, like the Red Bull has really high levels of caffeine, or, Starbucks coffee, and then there's regular coffee, and then there's black tea, and there's green tea. So maybe even start slowly decreasing or being more conscientious of the amount of caffeine coming in. But the big part about that is, so sleep. If we can get at least 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So we've been told, you need 8 hours, 9 hours, but it's the uninterrupted sleep that's important. So the part about caffeine, if we can stop drinking it at certain times, so we actually get to bed and get the 5 hours of sleep, that helps quite a bit. Again, the magnesium really helps with that, calm down the nervous system. But the big part about fatigue, we have been actually almost asked and pushed into this level of life that's really exhausting for our adrenal glands and for the endocrine system as a whole, really. I mean, you see the adrenal glands get exhausted first, and then the thyroid is usually the next, and then the female and the male, the gonads, are also struggling. So today, there's so much infertility or lack of sex drive because the body literally doesn't have the energy for that. It's using all of it. It's like that's the last thing the body wants to focus on, even though in our life that's our priority. So it's something like go underneath to, okay, can we support the endocrine system? And then one of the first organs is the adrenal glands that get weakened and depleted. And there's a lot of herbal supplements, that there are a lot of herbs that really support the adrenals. And we can just go online, like Gaia, there's a company that really specializes in herbs. They have adrenal health, adrenal support. So we can start there. Something as just holy basil, which is a beautiful herb that helps us actually increase cortisol, because we either deplete our cortisol levels, or we get into the switch where we're really low in the morning and then get high at night, and then we cannot, fall asleep. So something like holy basil is a beautiful, it reverses the switch, and it helps us calm down at night. So there's quite a bit that can be done, as usually more, what are the symptoms, and those are the herbs. But even if somebody just goes to a health food store and gets some adrenal support, the herbal one without the caffeine, it starts rebuilding the actual gland. And then over time, we really want to focus, get less and less caffeine, and the energy comes back.
So on the kind of more on the business side of things, I know when I first met you, you were going to open your own shop, and you were a little nervous about it, and obviously it's gone tremendously well. So I guess just like more on the entrepreneur side, not just the doctor side, what have been your ups and downs, and how would you define that part of your business?
Ups and downs. So we have had a lot of ups as far as I put the website together, and I remember my one down was that the website that I had, and then I worked with this one lady to put together, it started malfunctioning. Like there was some malware that happened, and we had like the website at one point actually shut down. I was like, oh my gosh, like I had to act really fast. And it was a patient that came in that time. They said, hey, I'm working with these people, they're really great, you have these options. And they were able to recover the website that was shut down, like literally, like we couldn't get on. They were able to recover it, put it together, and then made it even better. And it was nice because I was like, okay, that everything is happening for me, kind of, because it was time for a new website for sure. But I guess I had to be, kind of like had it thrown in front of me. So that was one of the downs that ended up being a really good thing for us. And then the up, what I see is patients really get better, or they, like you said, they're surprised about, oh, you spent all this time, and I'm like the first time I'm walking out of here and I'm empowered. I feel hope, like, okay, there's actually something, like I don't have this mysterious nobody can help me illness. There's actually a reason why my body is doing what it's doing, and it's really empowering for me to know, and that I can do something about it. So then they tell their family and their friends. So we have a lot of referrals from our patients, which is so beautiful. Just now we had a couple that came after they had COVID, and there's what we see right now is they are not able to recover 100%. Like either the lungs are struggling or the immune system is not able to pick up, and then energy is not able to pick up. So they come in and we do a few ozones, and we do different IVs to really clear the lungs. And within 2 or 3 treatments, they're back to normal. And they were so happy, they pretty much sent us their whole family. So it's really, really nice. That's the up, that people see that this is worth their time and their investment to take care of their health, and that they're better, and they want others also feel better. So that has been a huge kind of a reward, I guess, for the work that we're doing.
I think there's a lot of value in it. Do you just see inpatient like at your office, or do you do online or telephone consulting as well?
Yeah, we do all of it. We do the treatments that we do are in person, but there is so much that can be done, over Zoom, over the phone, because we literally can do the whole appointment over the phone or over video, and then realize, okay, here's step 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we do to help the body. And somebody wants to come in then in person for the physical treatment, they can, but oftentimes it's really not necessary. They can get better.
So the ozone therapy, for speaking of COVID, if somebody came in and ahead of the game and got that and got their immune system boosted, they could maybe avoid getting COVID, or at least have a much better experience with it. What do you think?
So I don't have, like a statistic or anything, but the beautiful thing that we can say in our office, we have focused on prevention. So we've been doing vitamin C IV with a type of ozone that's called minor ozone, where we use somebody's blood, we activate it with ozone, and then it's injected into the muscle, which serves almost like an auto vaccine, you say, or like it really stimulates the immune system and the first line of defense to be on alert and to be stronger. So we've done that, and we have also done the ozone major. I was telling you, where we withdraw the blood, put the ozone in, it goes back into the vein. And so far from our patients, nobody has gotten ill. The people that we have seen were post-COVID, that usually were new patients. So, knock on wood or something. Like so far, we have had really good response. And I'm not saying that it's only because of the treatment, but it really does support the immune system, where one is stronger, just like with the flu. It's a very similar virus. So many people are exposed to the flu and they don't get ill, and it's because their immune system is on alert and it's able to take care of it. So, and the ozone helps with that tremendously.
That is one of the things that's driven me the most crazy through this whole thing is that, they're talking about vaccines, they're talking about treatments. Nobody's talking about boosting your immune system, taking care of your body, exercise, all the other things that you can do to make yourself more resistant to any disease, like you said. But nobody wants to talk about that on the news, So it's like because nobody wants to change the way they do things, I guess. But I find, like, for me, it's been great.
I think a lot of that is because everything they're telling us to do is actually weakening our immune system.
Exactly. Stay inside, stay off the beach, don't go, don't exercise, and it's like almost like they want people to get sicker because then Big Pharma can come in and save them.
The trouble with the traditional medical system, it is so ingrained in these paths that it's almost like there's no space to make something different. Like so many times we have patients and, they have obviously other doctors, their own primary care or their specialists, and we do something that makes them better so fast. Let's say in 2 weeks, they're well. And let's say from a chronic cough or chronic condition, they go back to the doctor and they say, hey, I did this ozone and I'm so much better and my blood work is back to normal. And the doctor just, like, they don't have space for it. They just say, oh, whatever, just, I guess some of them, which is good, I like, you say, just keep doing it. Hey, if it works, keep doing it. But I don't know anything about it. Right. And some of them, like you said, say, oh, what are you doing? This is not, this is not scientifically proven. So it's almost like there's no room to introduce these powerful medicines, or even tell somebody on the news, okay, drink a lot of water, make sure you're breathing. When you go outside, take deep breaths without the mask, if you're alone, because outside in nature is where we really want to get the ions and the oxygen, and eat the good food. Like don't bog down your system with these sugars and these heavy meats and these big foods, because they'll make a big difference. So these simple things is almost like it's almost too good to be true for something as big as COVID, which is unfortunate because really we could have done so much. So as far as helping people. And the big piece about the vaccine, the vaccine started the development in the very early stages. And now there's so many mutations of the virus where it's not actually, the vaccine doesn't cover that necessarily. And then the other part is patients with actual antibodies against the virus that were ill are still becoming infected. So there's this, okay, is there even a long-term immunity? So the vaccine is just such a, it's difficult with that, yeah, because the answers are not really all there when it comes to the safety and to, is this really the right thing, and is it really the most effective thing we can do in a mass way, right? Or is it going to suppress the immune system even more? So there's a lot of questions that are still not answered, unfortunately, with that.
Yeah. Will you get the vaccine?
What was that?
Will you get the vaccine?
I would personally do, in my belief, it is not the answer. So whatever I can do to not get it would be my way to go. But ultimately, there's people that really believe in it, and then I feel that is the thing to do. And I am not telling anybody. I just support whatever feels right for the person. Do it. Do your research. Do the look into underneath everything. And if it feels right and it feels really strong, like I need to have it to stay healthy, that's perfectly fine. For me, the answer is different. So.
Thank you.
Me too.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been really informative. I've enjoyed this. Can you share with us, just if someone's listening to this and they think, you know what, I need to make a change, or whatever it is that I need to be in contact with these people, can you share your information on how people can find you?
Yes, the easiest really is to go on our website, and it's easy. It's www.my first name, drkatka.com, drkatka.com. And there's contact us. You can send us an email through there, or the phone number is 480-524-4304. You can call us. It's best to either call and leave a little bit more of a detailed message, or speak to my assistant, or send me an email That's either through the website or info@drkatka.com, info@drkatka.com, and I'll come right back to you, and we can see what, if this is the right way to go and what can be done. So I do a 15-minute complimentary consultation just to kind of check in and see, is this the right path, and do you feel comfortable with that? And if yes, then we can definitely meet.
Excellent. And I'll make sure to put the link to the website and everything in the show notes, and so people can find it there as well. But thank you very much. I really appreciate you being on with us and sharing all this knowledge. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.